Hello, coming in live today, welcoming soon the wonderful Bec Chapel from Plum Marketing. I keep wanting to say Marketing Espresso because that's her podcast, but from Plum Marketing, we're going to be chatting about knowing who you are before you actually seek out marketing and branding support. You need to actually do some work on getting to know you, not asking someone else to define your brand for you. Hey, look at all these people, it's so lovely. But before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I am coming to you from today. They are the Yagambeh people, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, emerging, and I recognise their connection to land, waterways and skies. So I'm going to welcome Bec very soon. Let me see if I can find her. So we're going to be doing these regularly. I have so many things on that I am not promoting all of them, but we should make a little fancy, being that we're both in marketing, we should have a little fancy thing. If you didn't catch it, I was recently on Bec's. Oh, hey, there she is. Hi, I'm going to invite you to join me. Go live with you. You should be doing it. Hey, Leah. Look at all these lovely people I know. Natasha, Laura, there she is. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hey. It's always so smooth, isn't it?
It's always so smooth. I was trying to hit the request to join, but my button wasn't working. So.
Oh, I was going to say, maybe I denied because I was busy. I was like, this is my time to shine, Bec. So we are on a strict timeline today. We're going to be here for 15 minutes. We would love it. By all means, if you have any questions, hey, Natasha, if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. We'll try to get to them. But Bec, I sort of voice memo blurbed at you earlier, wanting to talk about this topic because I find that a lot of the professionals that I know who are working in the marketing space, who sort of provide services like I'd say a photographer, a graphic designer, a website, have this issue where people come to them and they're like, basically just hand over their brand and they're like, do it for me. And I'm saying no. So what's your thoughts on this topic?
Love that, because also I've got the same, I'll have a lot of clients come to me and they're like, create a strategy, do all the content, all of this stuff. And totally love that. I'm training that. That's what I do. And I'm the person that puts the puzzle together, but we need the pieces, and the pieces are the why and the, who's your team and all of these great things. And the most important thing is tone of voice, right? You can't create, and especially because you're a lot more in that copywriting, content creation space than I am, where it's really got to come through that tone of who you want to be and how you want to talk in your socials or your blog posts or your emails, or even how you show up at a live. There is this whole story behind a brand and behind why you do what you do. And I think essence, exactly. And I think, back in the day, there was a real, you cannot bring yourself to your brand because, it's not professional and you have to be this person, you have to wear heels, you have to wear a skirt, you have to do this, all of that stuff. It's forget all that. Now we've really realized that people want to buy from other humans and we want the stories. We love story. And I think, if you can sell, or not even necessarily sell, but if you can create authentic connection with people through story, how awesome is that?
Absolutely. And it's funny, I just want to talk about the business. I was talking about the business, and it's but if it's your business, if you've created this brand, and right now we're sort of going to interchange between personal and business brand, but you're like, oh, no, just it's like this. Or they're like, oh, we just help our customers. And it's well, I would hope you help your customers. Everybody does. Why are you different from all the other businesses that I could Google? And it's so interesting when you get into it. And I met with a client the other day, and they were they've gone and got a video person, and they're doing this video stuff, and they're like, oh, it's not really us. And it feels like they're just kind of cookie cuttering it. And it's well, did you tell them who you are? Or and they were actually asking me about potentially doing the voiceover. And it's well, I could do the voiceover, but what do you want me to say? Because I'm not your voice. I can be the audio voice, but I need the message and what you're trying to say and in the tone that you're trying to say it. And they're like, oh, wow, that probably would have really helped when we got our logo done. And I'm like,
Well, yeah, interesting, because yesterday I was actually in a masterclass and we talked about this a lot, because we talked about who are you and what's your brand, and then what is the brand of your business, depending on, because obviously for a lot of people their brand is them, so therefore you don't have to have that slight, you know, what is the brand and who are you. But for bigger businesses where you have, say, you know, the front of the brand, it is important that you choose values and who you want. That do you want that brand to be a rebel? Do you want that brand to be conservative? Who are you trying to attract? You know, what kind of personality do you want for your brand? But you can still show up you. And the interesting thing about changing that brand, and potentially if it's a bigger corporate, or, you know, if it's a brand that isn't necessarily you, then you can have people come into the business and take on that brand too, and take on that voice. Like, I think like a really great example of it, and I could get slayed for this, but is Woolworths. When you see the way that they reply to stuff on their socials, they haven't done it for a while and they haven't gone viral, but back in the day, they were going viral all the time for hilarious replies. And they were known for, like, you know, if someone wanted to slag them on socials, they could go back and have a really good response to that. And I think that they built a real online presence for that. And, you know, as a marketer, you would look at their social team and be like, God, they're champions. Like, they've got real wit, you know, they're really funny. And so Woolworths had this online social presence where it was like, if you were funny and you wanted to make a complaint, make it in a funny way, because you're going to hear about it, you know. So I think there is that element.
That's consistency as well. And I think, and it's that thing of that anybody should be able to, like you said, come into the business and take that voice on, and that you're, you know, you're sort of, whatever your values are, whatever, like, why did you start the business, then others can take that on. But if you're not clear on it, and I've done this work where some people have done the, you know, like, done some website copy and asking these questions, and they're like, this is really hard. And it's like, yeah, because these are the fundamentals of your story and of who you are. Why did you start your business? I feel like you should be able to answer that question. Like, there must have been a reason. And like, why do you want to continue running your business? Yeah, it's like, yeah. There's like, why do you want to continue running your business? Who do you serve? Why do you want to serve them? And then and it's like, and it does come back to who you are, because if you were the business founder or you started this journey, there must have been a reason. And there must be some of you that's going to be infused into the business. It's not going to be the same. But they're like, I just want the business separate to me. And it's like, but so this entity cannot have a personality made of thin air. Yeah, and if you don't have a say in it, I just think there's so much handing over of power, and responsibility and accountability and all of that. If you're just coming and going, hey marketer, hey photographer, hey graphic designer, hey website person, you just write it for me, and you just
you've got to you've got to have that story behind it. Like, for example, I think Virgin's a really great example too, right? Like, Richard Branson is Virgin. Like, he has filtered that through his brand so well. It's the rebel, it's the, you know, like, the, we're going to push the status quo, that's what we're going to stand for, we're going to do all these great things. Yeah, it's fun, and that's who he is too, right? So as much as he has disassociated himself, and anyone that works in Virgin is expected to kind of take on that persona and have the fun and be who they are within that business, but you still know why. Like, you and I, straight away, anyone watching this would be like, yeah, I know what Virgin stands for,
and I know who Richard Branson is. Correct. And like, they exist separately, but they rose together. That's my thing. I'm like, you can rise together. Don't just put your business forward and then put all this equity into this business and you hang in the background and let that go forward without rising your brand up. But then people are so scared of, they're like, but if I'm associated with the business, or if my brand goes into the business, then I can never separate in case that, you know, in the future I do want to sell. And it's like, well, no, there's ways to do that, like to talk separately. But initially that brand voice and that brand personality has to come from somewhere. Yeah. And who should you know better than anyone? You. I would hope, but it's not easy work to do. That's why I exist. Yeah. That's why you exist. But I just think that you have to
be able to articulate it enough that you can, or even sit down and have that working session where you actually go through it. But you can't just say, as you said, you can't just say, do it all for me, you figure it out. Like, because it's just, we can do that, right? but your
We can make
brain
stuff up.
is
We're pretty good at it. We're very creative people. We can make things up.
We can totally do it, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's not, you're never going to be happy with the outcome.
And you're not going to own it.
About the marketer. You can only really complain about the brief.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not going to own it. You're not going to want to share it. You're not going to be able to be consistent with it, because that's where all that, like, when you're showing up as someone that you're not, and you're not being true to who you are, you're putting on a mask, you're putting on an act, and that's tiring to keep up that show all the time.
Yeah. Totally.
Whereas, you know, and I'm not sugarcoating it. I never sugarcoat it with my clients. It's like, this is deep work. I'm asking you questions. Like, the first question I ask is, who are you? Which is like, but I hope that question becomes easier. But I'm like, okay, let's start with your name. That one we should know. Tick. The role or title that you've chosen for yourself, or like the field that you're in, if you want to use that. And then maybe where you're from. Like, we can start easy, but like, what do you want? What do you want to do in your life? What do you want to create? What do you want to be? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? That sort of, and it's it can be fun. And that's why I ask questions like, and there's a lot of psychology behind these things. People think you're a bit like, why are you asking these random things? And I know you love these things too, but it's why you do personality tests, and why you ask, what's your favorite color? Yeah. What's your spirit animal? What's your star sign? Because if you don't have those words initially to say about yourself, like, I've just been doing the sacred money archetypes, which is super fun.
Yeah, you have to send me that.
I will send you the quiz because I want to know. But it's, those things that if we don't have those words, then those words can start to come for us. And then it's like, what fits and feels good. But the thing is that people don't take the time initially, or sometimes even like it might take 10 years. And I know, look, I'm hand up. There are times where I've just wanted to get things done, and it is a bit too hard basket. And I'm like, oh, yep, sure. Just write that page for me. Like, yep, just have a go from what I've got. And it comes back and it's not me, and it's not what I want.
Yeah, and I was creating content this morning, and I had to really like give myself a bit of a slap, because I was like, hold on, that's not my voice. What am I doing? Like, I'm just creating bland content, and I'm like, no one's even going to read that. So straight away I changed the hook, because I was like, I would talk like that. I talk in quite extreme ways. Like, I will say exactly what I'm thinking most times, and people know that about me, right? That's why I think, people will naturally like tell me what they're thinking too, because they feel safe in that space. But it's like, then on my socials and my emails and my blogs and stuff, I have to also still be that person, because otherwise it is tiring. And it's like, well, you're not showing up as you. And it even comes down to, like, the whole time we've been talking, I've been thinking about, if you're recruiting in your business, well, how do you know who to recruit? Because you're not going to get the right person in if you haven't done that work about who your business is, what it stands for, what your values are. Because if you have a value misalignment, that is going to work for about half a second.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you think, oh, why am I getting the wrong fit? Why am I working with these people that I don't like? Like, at the moment, everyone I'm working with are people that well, not only do I want to, but I do spend my time with. And it's like, sounds a bit lame-o, but it's like, these clients are becoming my friends. I call them clients because it's easier to define how we work together, but as opposed, to members or whatever. But like, they've become friends because they're people that I like and I enjoy spending time with, and we have similar values. We're not exactly the same, not at all, but our hearts or our ambition or are in the similar place, and we're coming together. As opposed to maybe 5 years ago, when I would maybe take people, it's like, can you do this? Sure, I can. Were there red flags? Sure. Like, but because it was like, can I do the job? Yes, I can. Are you going to pay me? Yes, I can. And I wasn't really defining a niche. People say to me all the time now, they're like, oh, so you only work with women? I'm like, no, I don't only work with women. I'm happy to talk to you. I met with the client on Monday who's a male, and loved working with men, but I need to talk to someone. And talking to people who were me 3 years ago, that's my target market. Like, they're the people. And if I'm not talking to someone, I'm not talking to anyone. If anyone hears my message, if anyone hears what I'm talking about, everyone's got a personal brand. So I could work with everyone and anyone. Can I work with everyone? No. Do I want to work with everyone and anyone? No. And that's so nice when you figure that out.
Yeah. I fell into that same trap too. And like originally, you know, like I would be just saying yes to a lot of things that didn't align with me because you know, especially when you first start in business, are like cash, 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 right? Like you really want to like make sure that you kind of set a solid foundation. And, you know, I understand sometimes in business you do have to do that. Like there are times that you do, but when you get to a point where you really truly understand why you're in business, why you're running your business and your marketing matches that, then you're going to naturally attract people that are going to want to work with you and have the outcomes that you can offer them too. Because other people, like, especially if we're not marketing correctly and, you know, within what the message that we actually really want to get across, we are going to attract people that we can't even serve because they're not going to be happy with the result we give them because that's not how they define success. So it is, and you're right, I'm the same. I love my clients to pieces. I got the most beautiful email from one of them the other day and I was like, oh, like, and it's so nice, you know, and it's great. Like we get into business and we have this beautiful possibility to work with people that are like-minded and similar to us. Oh, thanks, Nikki. Nikki is one of them, actually. I had a great chat. She's such a good friend now, and it's true, right? Like, you know, we're so blessed to work in our own businesses and be able to do that.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap up in a few minutes, and I hope if you have any questions, please pop them on. Thank you to everyone who's been joining us today. These are going to be regular sessions, but yeah, it just came as a bit of a lightning. It's been coming up for a little bit. I did present a masterclass last week and a workshop, and it was that thing of, you know, but what do I say about myself? And I was like, again, start with your name. It's pretty easy, but you can spend this time getting to know yourself. And if you are running a business, you know, yeah, it is bigger work, but it's important work. And the clearer you are about who you are, knowing yourself and knowing what you want to be projecting, because we get to be in control. We don't get to control how people receive the message, but we do get to control the message that we put out. And so the more we're putting out a message that's true and authentic to the path that we want to be on and the life and the work that we want to create, the more that we're going to attract that. So spending some time digging into that, and potentially it is bouncing off someone else, or it is getting professional support and help, because it is bigger work. And I admit I have to do it sometimes. Like someone else will tell me something, they'll go, I saw like this about you, and you're like, wow, thank you. 'Cause it's a bit too close to the subject, but yeah, I can tell you that this digging deeper and getting that clarity, the clearer you get, the more you project that, the more that you're going to have this beautiful bubble of working with who you want when you want.
So true. So true. Love it. I love our chats. Are we right on time? We're right on time, aren't we?
Bec, closing remarks. We are. You can but you get your closing remarks because I've waffled. So anything else you'd like to add for our lovely people?
No, I just say, like, it is so important to get those briefs right. Like, so many people come to me and they say, you know, I've spent thousands with an agency and had little to no results. And, or, you know, I asked someone to do my copy and I just got nothing back that I liked. And it was such a waste of money. And, you know, I think that it comes down to, did you define what success looks like? Did you define what you were looking for? And did you brief them well enough? And I think if you need help in that space, like reach out to marketers that you know and say, how would you want to be briefed? Like what kind of messages do you get across to you? So yeah, that's my closing remark.
I'd say, and anyone in that creative space, so marketers, copywriters, graphic designers, you know, anyone. Like I know that people, when we have worked together and then they've gone on to someone, they're like, thank you, because it's like this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to say, this is who I want to connect with. And then they can take that and then they can put it into that visual format or put it into that message format or whatever. And it's just so much more impactful and powerful. So if you can do the work first and maybe enjoy getting to know yourself again. I know you've been doing it, Bec, and you're a pretty great person. I've liked getting to know you. So,
oh, thank you. Likewise. I feel very blessed that I know you. But yeah, it's true. It's been the best journey I've been on. And it's hard. It's not easy. So you'll learn some things you don't like along the way too.
So we've just gone deep. So just a cash deep Thursday afternoon. We'll see you again. I don't know if we're doing this weekly or fortnightly or monthly, but anyway, thank you everyone for joining. You can watch it back on the replay. We'll share it everywhere because that's what we're like. Shameless self-promoters anonymous. Not so anonymous.
Not so anonymous.
All right, lovely. Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. And go and share your story because we want to hear it. We want to hear it.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.